Welcome back, all you nerds out there, to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. This is Kevin Horde.
Lorenzo Fawn over here.
Howdy doody, how you doing?
Good. How about yourself, man?
I'm doing well. We're here to talk about the Holocron Heist. Does that sound correct?
Yes. Yep. Jumping seasons.
Yep. We had a time jump, which we haven't had in a while. So we went from Season 1, Episode 21, skipped the end of Season 1, hopped into Season 2. So we're on Season 2, Episode 1, Holocron Heist. Production code of 123, original air date of October 2nd, 2009. 1.23 million viewers.
Very nice.
Which is quite a drop from Liberty or Ryloth, which we talked about last week. Last week had 3.01 million viewers.
I said, goddamn. Yeah.
So that's quite a drop.
Yes, that is. Damn.
I'm actually gonna look here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that
What are you
this
looking?
is the lowest viewership that the Clone Wars has seen so far in chronology. Now,
Interesting. Which is weird. As a premiere, you think it would kind of pull people in. Because this is indeed the premiere. That's episode 201. You know, and especially for a second season, they could have done some sort of lead-in or something. But
yeah.
Again, I don't know.
Well, I guess we'll have to see as season 2 goes on, see if the numbers pick up at all, or if they've hit their peak, or kind of what's going on with that. So
Yeah. Anyway, should we get into the fortune cookie in the episode itself?
let's do it.
Yeah. Do you have the fortune cookie for this one?
I do. Fortune
Go
cookie
for it.
is a lesson learned is a lesson earned. So
All right.
you know the question's coming.
Oh yeah. For this one, I'm feeling Obi-Wan on this one.
Okay.
The rhyme scheme it sounds like something he would say.
I'm done with that. I didn't come up with anybody. So I was hoping you had something.
I'm going with Obi-Wan. Yeah, I'm just gonna it sounds like something Obi-Wan would just kind of throw out there into the nether.
Yeah, this one just kind of sounds generic, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
this sound. I don't know. I'll go with Obi-Wan. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
That's cool.
This is definitely a more standard fortune cookie for sure.
Mhm.
Like an actual fortune cookie, you know.
So you know how
An
the
actual fortune cookie fortune.
you know how the fortune cookie comes up in like the blue font, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to say Star Wars tweeted something out the other day that was the same. It looked like same format as the fortune cookie that we see, but it was an actual quote, and then underneath it said like Anakin, Attack of the Clones. I don't remember what the quote was. So that made me feel good. You know, we're on something here. Like we knew that these were secret lines of dialogue from characters hidden throughout the Star Wars universe, and I think I think Star Wars proved it the other day. So there you go.
Yeah, the blue definitely seems to be like their more go-to font rather than like the logo font for Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anytime there is some sort of information that's put out that's just a block of text and isn't like a happy birthday well wish or some sort of news or something.
Right.
The blue font, the blue
The Lucasfilm
typeface.
font.
Yeah. It seems to be kind of their go-to for the social media. But yeah. Because it is a very nice, easy to read, pleasing font.
Yeah,
As
it's easy on the eyes.
typeface. Yes. So it's lasted this long. So yeah.
I'm sure it'll last a lot longer than
Yeah.
than
Which I've never looked into it. I don't know what font it actually is. So do you know?
No, I do not.
I'll have to look that up for the next one, for the next episode. I've never looked that up. So I wonder if that is some sort of standard font that is,
or if it's like
easy to pick up.
An actual Lucasfilm font. I think the color was like custom color blue for good old GL back in the day, but I'm not entirely sure. I could be making that up. I don't know if I can know. So
yeah. Anyways, what's going on in this episode?
Our newsreel is a straight up setup for this episode and bleeds straight into the actual action. I think the narrator says something to the effect of, there's some Jedi trapped on Felucia, and Plo and his crew are headed in to get them out, right? So we've got a couple Star Destroyers that fly in, the good guy kind, and Plo and Plo's bros with a couple of gunships and some fighters are off to the races. Of course, there's another blockade of a planet, and the narration says something to the effect of they were able to break a hole in the blockade, and that's where we start. So we're headed for a hole in the blockade. Plo and his dudes are cruising down to the planet. We meet a new clone named Warthog, which is interesting.
Was he named? I don't...
Yeah, Plo says, Warthog.
Oh, that's true. That's right.
Blah, blah,
that's
blah.
Right. It just happened so quickly I didn't even note it. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, they're running through the blockade. Because the newsreel itself is actually really short in this episode, too.
Yeah, it's only like 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's literally to set up the episode, and then it leads into Plo to the point where, like, I didn't even realize that even though the narrator kind of still closed out the newsreel with the same sort of inflection, you know, they've sent the gunships to the rescue. Once we kind of got into the action of it, I didn't connect that we were out of the newsreel.
Yeah, because it bleeds in so well.
Yes.
The newsreel is 3 sentences. Jedi trapped on Felucia. Clones are surrounded by droid forces. Their only hope is to escape on Republic gunships waiting to land on the embattled surface. Jedi cruisers have managed to blow a hole in the droid defenses and have sent gunships to the rescue. And then Plo's like, "Yo, Warthog, like, do the thing."
Yeah.
That we
it
talked
just
about.
Leads right in. It just jumps right into it.
Do you like this better than what we've seen in the past? Because this is quite a bit different lead in than newsreels that we've seen in the past. I mean, it straight bleeds into the episode.
I personally really like that. I really like blending that line.
Okay.
You know, like I understand when it's a previously on, but even with a previously on, depending on the show, because like some Clone Wars aside, just like television in general, you can have kind of serialized shows where, like
MacGyver.
Yes,
the original one, not the new one.
I've not watched the new one for sure, but no, but in terms of like think of like HBO shows where like you have one whole season and there's like one story throughout, right?
So not like MacGyver?
So not like MacGyver's. That'd be like more episodic storytelling, right? So serialized is like where the whole thing is kind of one storyline. So think like Game of Thrones, your Breaking Bads.
The Clone Wars. Like it goes straight through.
No, here's the difference. We're going to get a little deep into this. So the Game of Thrones is going to be your big example. I'm trying to think of another one. Big Little Lies on HBO is a good example. A lot of Netflix shows for sure. So think later Marvel stuff. So like Daredevil 1 does a good job of mixing episodic and serial storytelling. But definitely something like The Defenders is full serial.
Okay.
And the differentiation and kind of my annoyance with Netflix shows right now is that an episode will end on a cliffhanger, which is fine. That's very standard storytelling. And then it'll get into the next episode, and depending on the show, sometimes they'll do a previously on that leads you right up to the cliffhanger and then carries on from that cliffhanging point.
Like MacGyver.
I honestly have no memory of MacGyver, so you're stuck with that one for sure. Because in my head, it's all been overtaken by MacGruber.
Yeah, I'm half...
Everything blows up.
I am half fucking with you. Well, that's not entirely false. I'm half fucking with you, but honestly...
It's still episodic, though, right?
It is.
Like, there's no big bad in every season for MacGyver.
No, he did have his nemesis, whose name I cannot remember right now.
MacGyver's beyond me.
But MacGyver was the first show that I watched, that I binge watched start to finish when I got Netflix.
Good God.
No, it might have been the second. It might have been Lost and then MacGyver, but I'm pretty sure that I watched Lost online.
Yeah. See, Lost is definitely serial television, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is said as a guy who's only watched like the first 6 episodes, for different reasons. But then going towards episodic storytelling, think like your Simpsons, your Family Guys.
Yeah.
Right. Where there can be things
your
that will...
your Rogues one.
Well, no, because where it's like it's a standalone story. There might be other things that affect it. The story itself might affect other things, but really there's a story that's start to finish, right? Closes out. So, and some shows can blend the two. That's perfectly fine, right? Because that's the thing with television. Each episode still needs to stand on their own, and that's why I'm really fucking annoyed with Netflix right now, is because the first 2 episodes might be really interesting, and then you get like a big glut in the middle where it's just like a bunch of bullshit.
It's stuff.
Yeah, it's just stuff, right? It's just a bunch of fucking stuff. So like there's no reason to keep going because it's not going anywhere, right?
It's going for episodes so that it can be 10 episodes instead of 4.
Like 4, yeah, exactly. So this is where like HBO does it really well, where they make sure that each episode, because it's a week-to-week basis, you know, that the episode still needs to have its own little arc within the bigger arc.
Right.
So I really like that idea. I just watched the show Cloak and Dagger on Freeform. That didn't do it in every episode. Sometimes it would have cliffhangers, and then sometimes they would do the previously on, and then it would fade to black and then jump somewhere else before getting back to the cliffhanger, which is fine. But there would be certain episodes that would do a previously on, and then they would show the scene leading up to it and then just keep going. And I'm just like, hold up. Wait a second. Like, you know.
So I'm thinking of an example, and it's How to Get Away with Murder.
I have not seen any of it, so carry on knowing that I have not seen any of it, but I do not care about spoilers.
Okay.
So,
I'm not really going to include any details, but essentially each episode ends with a like what the fuck happens next moment.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember correctly, each episode begins with a literal previously on narration, like previously on How to Get Away with Murder, blah, 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 blah. And then it goes into the episode, and, you know, there may be like a montage of like the previous episode or whatever.
Just like all relevant information for the upcoming episode.
Right. The other one that I'm thinking of is Dragon Ball Z. Where there's like each episode of Dragon Ball Z is like 3 parts. So the first part is simply like the third part from the previous episode. Then you have like new stuff, and then part 3 is just part 1 from the next episode. So there's only like, you could probably whittle that entire show down by like 33% and see 100% of everything that's in the show.
Well, especially because for each of those episodes, Goku will be charging up the entire time.
It's very true.
As he does throughout that show.
It is very true.
Like, Goku's still charging up. We're on episode 7 of him charging up. Okay.
Yeah,
They're still standing there. Okay, cool. We're still getting ready for this fight. Okay, cool. Yeah. So
we should talk about that show more in depth sometime.
That was a show I watched in passing. My brother for sure was the big fan, so that's why I can get reference points for Dragon Ball Z. But in terms of being a fan of that show, I would not consider myself among that crowd. But I do appreciate it. But I haven't gotten to like Dragon Ball Super or anything per se. You know.
Yeah, I didn't have cable until I moved away to college. And it was, I remember when I moved away to college, it was me and my friend Kevin was my roommate, so it was Kevin and Kevin, and we would watch Dragon Ball Z because we had cable, and I don't know what network it aired on, but whatever region we were in, they would have, you know, like a 3-hour block of Dragon Ball Z, nice. Which they're like 15-minute episodes, aren't they? I feel like.
No, they're still 30. They're still 30-minute episodes,
okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were like 15-minute episodes, so in like 3 hours we would watch like 46 episodes or whatever, but I guess not. Yeah, so that's my experience with...
It just feels like that because Goku is charging the entire time.
Yeah.
And then when they do fight and Krillin steps in, he dies every time.
Yeah.
Krillin always fucking dies. He's always the first to die, and then they find some weird reason to bring him back, or he gets punched down, even though he's really trying his best. Bulma gets all mad.
I'm gonna have to find the streaming somewhere and watch the entire series.
It's on Hulu. It's all on Hulu.
Is it?
Because I started the original Dragon Ball series. I tried to start that, but that shit is dated. That shit is super 80s and like super Japanese 80s. So that was the thing. The pacing is super weird for that show. And I think I made the mistake of wanting to try and get like the authentic experience. So I started the Japanese language version, and I was like, this doesn't feel right. I'll probably hop back to the dubbed version, you know?
Yeah.
But like that'd be the only thing that I watch dubbed, you know? I'm a purist. Like I'm an original, like whatever the original format was, go there.
So you hop back to the dubbed version. I'm going to hop back to Holocron Heist.
Yes. Let's get into it.
Plo and Plo's dudes are on their mission to get some lats down to the surface. We cut to some random clone officer on a bridge that has like the total Anakin scar on his right eye, which is kind of cool, but we only see this guy like one time ever, to my knowledge. And his like first command is shoot the cruiser on the right.
Yep.
No, shoot the cruiser on the left is what he says, and then they immediately blow up the cruiser on the right.
yeah, because like it was weird because I think it's because it was to the right of a cruiser, but it's left over all of like maybe where they were trying to run through the blockade.
I don't think so, man. There was like so he says shoot the cruiser on the left. And then on the screen you see 2 cruisers and the cruiser on the right blows up. So even if there's like other stuff going on, like is he saying shoot the cruiser to the left of like the lane that they're going down?
Because that's what I thought that he meant. Because I think in the geography, and again, like that's the one thing about the show that isn't always great is the geography of the choreography, I guess. But
of like the space battles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just any battles in general. Because I feel like their ship was still like in between like a group of them, so they just wanted to shoot the one closest to them, but on the left side.
I feel
Does
like
that make sense?
that you don't need to have like definitive direction points then in your dialogue.
Wouldn't you still, though? Like,
why don't you just say target the cruiser and then a cruiser blows up and you're good to go?
well, because then if you have like a bunch of people just shooting at various cruisers because you didn't specify which one.
Lorenzo, he says shoot the fucking one on the left and they shoot the fucking one on the right. He doesn't
No, like
say
I said,
shoot the one to the left of our dudes. He says shoot
No,
the
no, no.
cruiser
Like
on
I
the
said.
left.
Yeah, no. Look, what I'm saying is from their orientation, it's the first one on the left. From inside that cruiser.
Yeah, but there's only 2 cruisers.
No, because like when Plo Koon is flying up, you see like a whole row of them, and then it zooms in to the one blowing up. But you see other ones spread across.
I don't know that I can agree with you on your defense here.
I'll have to look, but I recall seeing like a whole line of them.
I do,
And
yeah.
then they cut to the guy.
I agree with you there.
Yeah.
I just disagree with the dialogue in the scene.
No, I agree that I thought they were going to go to the one on the far left, but they went to the one inner.
Yeah, like
So then my
maybe
only
shoot the one on
justification
their left. Maybe,
on who's left.
I don't know. Fucking Plo and Plo's bros.
Which would be the one that they shot.
Right, but he says shoot the one on the left. We're
Yeah.
it's semantically ridiculous.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, point is, none of that shit makes any sense.
Nor does it
At
matter
all.
because we never see these people again. Right.
No, never. Yeah. So what is happening after the ship blows up?
So some banking clan ship gets blowed up. Plo and his crew make it down to the ground. Warthog has some vulture droids after him. Plo spins around and does some fancy flying to save his ass at like the last moment. And when he blows up this vulture droid, it smashes down and hits the AT-TE that Anakin and Obi-Wan were like hiding behind. Did you catch that?
Yes. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was very near them.
Yeah.
And then,
Obi-Wan says, well, if the fighters made it through, then our ships are going to be here right after that. And then immediately they just land behind them.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And they're like, all right, we should get out of here for extraction. And then Obi-Wan is like, well, where's Ahsoka? And Anakin checks in on her.
No,
and she's...
Anakin says, Ahsoka should be back by now.
Oh, yeah.
And Obi-Wan's like, I'll call her. And then immediately just lifts his comm up, like his wrist comm up, and is like, Ahsoka. And then Ahsoka and Obi-Wan talk for a minute. He's like, yo, our peeps are here to pick us up. And she's like, no, why?
Yeah.
So they
like,
argue
I have
for
him
a
on the
little
run.
bit. Yeah, they argue for a little bit. It cuts back. We intercut back and forth between Obi-Wan and Anakin and his group of clones and Ahsoka and her group of clones. So I don't know if you noticed, but the first clone that jumps off like the lat that lands is Rex. So one, Rex is not with Anakin on this mission. He was not planet side. Mm-hmm. 2, he jumps off and he yells, go, go, go. And then a trooper next to him gets shot and he's like, let's get out of here. Which seems like a reverse command. He's like, go, 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 go. And then like some dude dies and he's like, fuck, let's get out of here. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Which I found that hilarious. But yeah, so we're cutting back and forth from Obi-Wan talking to Ahsoka, and Ahsoka says something to the effect of Master Skywalker told me never retreat when you get the tinnies on the run, and Obi-Wan's like, no, that's not what's happening, like, just listen to me, like, we're coming to pick you up, you better get in the fucking ship.
But he's explicit too. He's like, they are retreating because they're actually regrouping.
Yeah, they're regrouping.
Yeah. So I get that it was purposeful, but it definitely was super fucking annoying to listen to Ahsoka in this.
And what was even more
section.
annoying to me than that is Anakin is standing right next to Obi-Wan the whole time, and Obi-Wan's talking into his wrist communicator, which we know is like a broadcast signal, right? Yes. It's like a fucking radio with a speaker. So they don't have earpieces where they're talking to each other. They're walkie-talkies that everybody can hear. And as soon as Obi-Wan like finishes the conversation with Ahsoka, Anakin's like, "So what's going on? What happened?
Yeah.
Like, fill me in." Like, dude, you were standing right next to him.
Yeah, you could hear the whole thing.
You could hear exactly the entire thing.
Yeah. And Obi-Wan is like, "Well, she's taking after your training," or something like that.
Yeah, he says, "She's following your teachings." And Anakin says, "Well, is she winning?" Obi-Wan's comment is, "For now."
Yeah. So then they get in the gunships and they fly off to go pick up Ahsoka.
But Ahsoka doesn't stop fighting.
Nope.
So Anakin says, "Well, fucking land in front of her then."
Yeah. And then in a reversal of what I usually complain about regarding Ahsoka, as soon as they land, they totally over-animate her face.
Oh, man.
Yeah. She's like, "What are you doing? We have them on the run." I was just like, because it's not even that they over-animate just the facial expressions. Like, her head, like, snaps back a foot and then snaps forward 2 feet, you know? And it was just, like, the weirdest, most unnatural thing.
Yeah, well, she's a bratty teenager, and sometimes these things do happen.
But that was, like, a full-blown, like, 0 to 60 in 2 seconds sort of, like, snap back and forward. Like, it was bad. So I was glad that they put emotion back in her face, but now we've gone from one extreme to the other.
Okay.
Right.
So we need to dial it back a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a bit, you know. Or at least like smooth the ends. I think I would have felt better maybe if like they had smoothed the ends out a little bit, where cuz again, it's like her head snaps back from position A to B and then she goes from B to C and there's no.
It's like Kermit when he's throwing a fit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just back and forth. Yeah. Like it hits like, you know, like you can go from A to B to C, but there's kind of like a slow build up from A to B, and then you decelerate back into it, and then you accelerate again, and then you decelerate into C. But It's like, no, you go from A, pure 100 to B, pure 100 to C, you know? That's I don't know if that explanation makes sense, but that's kind of the best I can think of.
Yeah, it totally does.
Yeah. But anyways, so she reluctantly gets picked up.
Yeah, Anakin had like an awesome master moment, if you will. I call it a dad moment, but he just gets out and he doesn't quite grit his teeth, but he's just got a real stern look, and you know, he's pointing behind him. He's like, "Get your ass on the fucking ship right now." Yeah. Like, I don't care. Like, you know, get your fucking ground and go to your room.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
I agree.
You know, it was a real nice moment for Anakin.
Yeah. But then, like, what really, again, bothered me from a character standpoint of view is as soon as she gets on the gunship and they take off, and the fucking tank she was standing on was surrounded by droids.
Yeah,
and the shit blows up.
I wrote takeoff and boom.
Yep.
And then I wrote, "That's a shit ton of droids."
Yeah.
So she was on
full surrounding.
What is this thing? It's an HAVW A5 Juggernaut is this thing that she was on. It's 21.8 meters in length. It's got all kinds of fucking armaments and laser blasters. It's got 3 heavy laser cannons. It's got 1 double medium blaster cannon, whatever the fuck that means. It's got 2 grenade launchers. It's got 6 concussion grenades. It's got 2 pilots, 6 gunners, a sentry. It holds 50 troops. It can carry 1 metric ton of cargo plus a week's worth of consumables. And it costs 200,000 credits new, or 120,000 credits used. And one thing I've noticed in this series is that they treat all of the tanks and armaments and vehicles and such as disposable. Where, they got like $500 million worth of shit.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we'll just get this one person. Yep, just leave it.
Just leave it.
It's all good.
We gotta fly away. Just leave it. Don't worry.
Flying away real quick like.
Yep. We're out. We're out of here.
So
and yeah, because the shit blows up, and they're just like, okay.
But there had to have been, estimate the number of droids around this thing, and they're not even just coming from like one direction or 2 directions.
Oh, entirely encircling the entire thing.
Right.
Entirely circling entirely. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. No, it
It's like thousands.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, we're at least in the hundreds, but definitely in the thousands. Like, there are a lot of little pale dots down below.
The further you pan out as this lat increases altitude, the more fucking droids you see.
Yeah, and it's an endless wave. So this is, like, what bothers me from a character standpoint, because Ahsoka is standing on top of that tank as well.
And
she has...
Yeah, and there's a gunner next to her, so there's, like... 2 people that you see.
Yeah. So they would have had like a good vantage point to see all these droids coming up on them.
Absolutely.
But the entire time she's just like, no, we got them on the run. Okay. But I do like the quick transition. It goes from them flying away straight into the Jedi Council round room, I guess, like the meeting room that they have.
That would be the Jedi Council chambers, right?
Chambers, that's the word. Yes. Yeah, so they're at the Jedi Temple, and immediately it's basically like Mace, Windu, just kind of...
Yeah, he says, Ahsoka, do you agree with Master Obi-Wan's assessment of the situation? So It's like Obi-Wan went in and was like, hey, this fucking girl
this
did
shit
this.
Happened. Yeah. Yeah. Like,
and
this
she
is exactly
basically says, I agree. And then Anakin does a nice thing. He sticks up for her and he's like, no, this fault, or the blame falls on me.
Yeah.
Because I'm her master, and although she has shown great aptitude at her young age, she's still young, and I placed too much trust in her and gave her too much responsibility. Like, this is my fault.
Yeah.
And I think Mace or Yoda's like, no, time out. Like, it's her. Like, she's still...
The actions are still hers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The actions are still hers to lay blame on, and then if there is a person to punish, it would obviously be her.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, both Obi-Wan and Anakin were still giving her direct orders that she was not following.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that's not an aptitude issue. That's just a not following orders issues. Like, it doesn't matter how fucking young you are if you're in that situation.
Okay.
You know to follow orders.
Yeah, I was going to say that I read a little deeper into it, thinking that it was her actions leading up to that point to get herself into that situation. Mm-hmm. Although Anakin and Obi-Wan, I don't necessarily directly know exactly how she got where she was.
Yeah.
Going back to that comment where Anakin says, "Oh, she should be back by now."
Yeah.
So
I don't think the punishment that they're about to dole out, or the reason for this meeting per se, is for that. It's for the
disobedience. Which is weird because they were going to abandon the fucking tanks anyway. And as far as we know, once the Lats got there, there was no casualties of war on the Republic side. Like, the clones that went in, came out, and... You know, it's not like the Lats landed and then 2 of the Lats full of fucking other survivors got blowed up just to save her. It was a minor annoyance along the way.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but really if she did keep disagreeing and if she did continue disobeying orders, then they all would have been blown up. For sure. Like, based on what we see as they're flying away.
Okay.
You know, because they still are above it when the other tank blows up, right?
Okay.
So I think that's why they have that major concern, because it really was like the end of the line for all of them. At least based on what we can see. It's really interesting that you bring up regarding the stuff that we don't see beforehand, because I didn't think about that at all, because
I didn't either until you were until just now as we were discussing it, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. No, I always saw them being in the council chambers as just them going, what the fuck? There was a simple instruction for you to get back. You didn't get back, so they had to fly to you. And then even when they flew to you, you didn't want to get on the thing thinking that you were going to beat them, but then, like, clearly clones were getting shot at. So, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, if you had just come back first, like, even those few clones that got shot at wouldn't have been shot at. So
the punishment that she gets is doled out by Yoda.
Yeah.
And his verbiage is super confusing, or at least it was to me. And she gets put on guard duty at the Jedi Archives, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And Ahsoka goes, guard duty at the Archives for how long? And Mace Windu goes, longer now.
Yeah.
Which is a total dad move. Like, oh, really? Like, how long am I grounded? Like, well, now you're grounded for longer. Like, just shut up and accept your punishment and move on. So that to me showed Mace's like frustration, because this shit's been building for a while.
Yes.
We'll find out later in this episode how long even longer is. And I guess we can judge it at that point whether or not it's really all that long in general. So she's grounded to guard duty. Annie escorts her to the Jedi Archives, and we're introed to Madame Jocasta Nu.
Yes.
So Madame was a new term for me as far as the Clone Wars goes. So I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it says Madame. Madame could refer to, and then there are 2 people listed, neither of which are Madame Jocasta Nu.
Interesting. I think Madam would just be a normal title allotted just to whoever. It's not like an official title or anything, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's just
not that I know
it's like
of.
Sir. It's same thing as calling anybody Sir.
It's like the female version of a pimp.
Yeah. Yep. She's taking care of all the information.
Yeah.
They do
she's
drop
archiving something.
They do drop some like random information, and I didn't write down exactly, but as Ahsoka and Jocasta are kind of getting introduced to one another, and Ahsoka's kind of asking questions. They do a
walk and talk.
Yeah, they do a walk and talk through the archives, and I think Ahsoka asks something like, "Well, I heard there's even information here that's forbidden to read," and Jocasta's like, "Why, yes, there are." Like, my question is, what? Like, why?
Yeah, Jocasta says this is the biggest reserve of information in the galaxy, and Ahsoka brings up that, oh, Master Kenobi told me that they're not books. I don't know what she calls them. whatever.
Like data or whatever. I don't know.
Data tapes.
Because they even mentioned, like, yeah, they just refer to things as, like, information at some point, too, but...
Yeah.
But
it's, yeah, she says that Obi-Wan says, like, there's stuff here that you're not even allowed to read. And what is...
Yeah.
Jocasta says something... I don't know. She's like, hey, check out the secret vault where all the holocrons are.
Yeah. They eventually approach the holocron vault. And then Jocasta again brings up a few more pieces of information. Yeah, we see Kit Fisto turn and smile.
Of course.
Most importantly. And then he enters the holocron vault. And then Jocasta mentions that it's only for council members.
Yeah. I feel a question coming on.
Why? What?
No.
Not from me?
No.
Well, I was going to ask, does that include Anakin?
I was going to ask if it included Jocasta Nu. Because...
Oh, yeah.
So, Ahsoka says... She's like, oh, goody goody, can we go inside? And Jocasta's like, no, silly girl, we can't go inside. That's for council members only. I haven't even been in there in several years. So did Jocasta used to be on the council and that's why she was allowed inside? Or was she allowed inside because she is like the keeper of the archives?
I think she's on the council. She's just not like in that active thing. Like I think the council expands out beyond that room, maybe.
I don't think it does. And the reason that I don't think it does is because even when all of the members are not physically present, there are still X number of chairs and there are holograms Skyping from across the galaxy.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Because like I previously always thought of the council as only being whoever is in that room. But again, the way Jocasta kind of says her thing, like maybe she's a council member, but they know her strengths aren't in that level.
I think maybe she used to be a council member because it's my understanding that like being on the council is not necessarily a lifetime permanent position. Mm-hmm. It's rotating.
Yeah.
So some people are on the council for a long time, aka Yoda. Mm-hmm. And Mace Windu, we've seen Ki-Adi-Mundi, who, by the way, according to the toys, was appointed to the council as a Jedi Knight and not a Jedi Master. He was the first person to be appointed as a Jedi Knight, which is why when I saw Revenge of the Sith in theaters at midnight all those years ago, and Anakin whines and says, "It's never happened in the history of the Jedi," I stood up and pointed at the screen and yelled, "Bullshit!" And my wife was embarrassed.
Of course she was.
But
it's because he wasn't studying those holocrons enough. That's why.
Yeah, well, he wasn't allowed in.
Yeah, that too. But so that makes sense to me too. I will agree with maybe that interpretation of what Jocasta is saying.
Maybe she stepped down from the council to more dedicate her time to the archives and the information work of the archives.
Yeah. Because like the other way I kind of took at least just like that little snippet of the line is maybe like she just had no reason to go in there is why she hadn't been in there for years, right?
Well, that's probably true as well.
That was the only other way I interpreted that line was maybe like, you know, she's busy filing and organizing all the other bits of information and helping all the Obi-Wans who come in trying to find planets that don't fucking exist, you know?
Yeah, but so we agreed that this is a digital library and not an analog library. Like, you don't go get books off the shelves.
There seems to be shelves of some sort.
There are definitely shelves.
Yes. So I always thought that those things were still holding data, perhaps digitally, but on a physical medium. Does that make sense?
So like data cards?
So like it's a
like
library
a whole bunch of
filled
jump
with
drives.
a whole bunch of like floppy disks, right? You have to find the floppy disk that you want, right?
Okay.
Like that information is there. It's just not all on a central cloud database,
Okay.
but it's around, you know. It's not an
I
analog book, but it's still on a physical. Yeah. They've been burned to CDs.
I may bring that up later in this episode and challenge your.
I believe me, I'm not a steadfast believer of that myself. That's just one logical explanation that I have to kind of explain what the shelves are doing there.
Yeah, I
Does that
kind
make
of thought
sense?
they were like shelves of like PlayStation 4s that were full of data, but all of the PlayStation 4s are like networked together, and you can access all of this information while in the library.
So it's a big server. So the whole thing's a big server.
Yes.
I won't disagree with you there too. But what confuses me, let's move forward a little bit because we definitely see something else that I'll bring back up.
Yeah, we get to meet a new character, right?
Yes.
We cut to this apartment noir and meet this blue-skinned alien with an overly wide-brimmed hat.
Yep.
That's chewing on a toothpick that, according to behind-the-scenes material, that was originally like a cigarette or cigar or cigarillo or some type of other small smoked device
Death sticks.
that was edited down to a toothpick.
Yeah. So the character is not named at first, but then he does get a call from Darth Sidious through his holo communication thingy.
Yeah. My note on this is that Sheevil, that's Evil Sheev,
Yep.
apologizes to Bane, which I thought was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because he's like, oh, sorry to interrupt. But
yeah. I think he was being facetious. I can't even fucking say it right. Facetious? Blah.
Facetious.
Facetious. Yeah.
You got it
Close
backwards.
I really fucked that up.
Every time.
I don't know why I'm having trouble with that one.
That's all right. Go ahead.
But yeah, so like I always, or at least in this watch through, I did find that weird too. But that again, my only internal logic is that Darth Sidious is just being a full-blown dick to this character.
I think this also does answer the question that you brought up so many times of what is the other person fucking doing, like when these Skype calls come in.
Yeah.
The holo Skypes.
And he's just standing there. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just standing there. So, I think in past episodes, maybe it's just convenience so far that we haven't seen somebody, we haven't seen Dooku taking a Dooku.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is a bad time.
Yeah.
He just happens to always be standing or sitting wherever he needs to be so his eye line matches up.
Exactly, yeah. And near one of these camera devices that create the hologram.
Those kind of seem to be like everywhere. It's like Big Brother. I don't really know.
Yeah, but like you still because in the last handful of episodes on Ryloth, they've always had to send a spy droid in order for that to get captured.
Very
right?
true, but this
so
is
that information come back.
But this is in a residence, so maybe it's different when buildings are involved. I'm not really sure.
Well, because
that's a good point though.
Yeah, because even on the Falcon and Solo, Lando was still holding like that little device while he was like recording his journal or whatever.
I loved that.
Right?
That was a beautiful touch.
Yeah. So there was still like the two cameras that were pointed towards him, and then the hologram was being produced right in front of him.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to watch that again, but what I found interesting is I don't think from his vantage point that the image being shot back at him was mirrored. So when he would turn his head left from his vantage point, Lando's head that he was looking at would turn to his right. Does that make sense?
I think so.
Yeah. So I did. I'll have to.
So like
double
it
check.
didn't do the Instagram thing, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So like he was still looking at an accurate representation of himself as if somebody was looking at him. It wasn't mirrored for him. Like the way that even what you're seeing in Skype is mirrored.
Yeah.
So you hold your
Okay.
left hand up, you see it on your left side, on screen. Right. But if he held his...
Correct, but it would be, if that was a person looking at me, that would be their right. I gotcha. I'm with you.
But that's what I'm saying, yeah. So
Yes.
Lando was still seeing the person's left hand being risen from his vantage point. If he was to raise his left hand. So like from my vantage point, when I raise my left hand, technically for what I'm looking at, I see a person's right hand being raised.
Correct.
Right. So I found that interesting because, like, how do you, if you want to see something on the left side of your face, does it, actually no, you'd still see it, you just have to, like, look at that weird angle, but.
Yeah, well, he's not
Yeah.
using it as a mirror, he's using it as a video diary.
Yeah, it's still just one of those weird things where, like, psychologically, like, let's say you see something you want to grab.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, it's just fucking weird to, like, then you see it over your left shoulder, but then you have to reach to your right, you know?
You might be overthinking
anyways.
this one.
Oh, I definitely am. Anyway, so moving on, Sidious requests this mysterious bounty hunter to steal a holocron from the temple. Yeah?
Yep. And said bounty hunter says that's hard. And
yeah, basically
she
says that's a
says
straight ticket to death. Yeah.
Your reputation, you know,
has been overblown or something like that.
yeah, you don't live up to your reputation then.
Yeah.
And so this bounty hunter goes, all right, I want a rogue class starfighter with elite weapons, cloaking device, the works, and 3 times my normal rate.
Mm-hmm. And then Sidious is like, hey, money's not a problem. I don't care about the money.
And I will give you the shit that you need to get in. I'll give you maps, and
Yes.
I'll give you some other stuff. Like, I'm helping you out here, and I'm paying you 3 times as much, and I'm giving you a ship that you're not even going to use in this episode that has a cloaking device. So I think this is canonically the 3rd time that cloaking devices are brought up. I can think of like 2 other times. Like Darth Maul's ship has a cloaking device.
Mm-hmm.
This time, and in Empire, when that Moth is like, no ship that small has a cloaking device, talking about the Falcon, and that's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the only
Yeah.
3 that I can think of. So,
And separate of cat and mouse cloaking device? Is that...
fuck. I'm gonna
It was just double checking. That's all. Just double checking.
Well, I mean, the show forgot about the invisible,
Well,
the invisible
clearly.
fucking penis ship, so of course so
Yeah.
did I.
Clearly. So after this scene, we cut back to Yoda in the Jedi Temple talking to... Oh, shit, who is he talking to? I didn't take note. But, like, during a meeting or something like that, he, like, kind of does, like, the chest grab, or he kind of starts, like, breathing heavily. I think, like,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan and Anakin are there, right?
And probably Mace. I don't really know.
Yeah.
My note says, cut to Master strategizing. Yoda has gas and senses future intruders.
Yes, it's very specific. He feels a disturbance in the Force, and he knows it's going to be a potential intruder into the temple. Like, he says it outright. He's just like...
He says intruders are coming.
Yeah. So then we cut back to the apartment, and this bounty hunter, who is still unnamed at this point, is toying around with a little droid. who is,
Toto.
I think, yeah, Toto, as of this point, unnamed still. But the voice is unmistakably Seth Green's, which I think is fucking hilarious.
It is.
Because Seth Green puts on like this sort of like, he does like a good version of a bad impression of C-3PO.
So when Dave Filoni and Seth Green were sitting down talking about this character, they're like, okay, what voice do we do? What voice do we do for this Toto bot?
Yeah.
And Dave Filoni's like, I got it. I'm going to call my buddy Seth Green, and I'm going to tell him to do a C-3PO knockoff voice, and there you have it. That's what it's going to be.
And I really thought it worked well, because this droid is very small. It's like maybe like, what, a foot and a half or something like that tall. It doesn't look big.
Yeah, less than half a meter.
Yeah, for sure. So then the bounty hunter is kind of toying around with it, but it has like this long block head on kind of like a small body, but then there's like a round plate on the front that kind of gives it like a pot belly appearance.
Mm-hmm. It's like a shoe. It's like a toaster on a shoebox with a plate in front of it.
Yeah, with like a disc in front of it. I really liked the character design on this. Like the way it walked to even made it look like it was kind of
hobbling around.
Yeah, kind of hobbling, like almost like in that weird like E.T. shuffle sort of thing, but like with actual legs, you know?
Okay. I was thinking like, did you see the movie Return to Oz with, what's her name? Veruzica Balk?
No.
So,
the one in the 80s?
Yeah. So it's not the Lion, the Tin Man, and the Scarecrow, but there are somewhat analogs to those characters, and the Metallic Man is, I don't even know what his character name is, like Mr. Time or Mr. Timepiece or something like that, and it's like this short, stout, brass clock man, almost like Cogsworth, but little girl size. And his legs are quite short, and so he like waddles around. And he's got this big belly. That's
that.
Yeah.
Maybe someday, but no.
You should watch. I'm gonna put that on your watch list.
Oh boy, but no, I really liked the character design of this. I liked what Seth Green did with the voice, even in like the very first scene. The droid definitely has like C-3PO, like similar anxieties.
He definitely does.
Yeah, but there's still a lot of like emotion behind it, right? Versus a lot of the other droids that we might see, like especially like versus like the clankers and the battle droids and the like the med droids, especially against the med droids, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a joke here where unnamed bounty hunter is doing something to Toto. Yeah. And Toto's like, if you would just tell me what you're doing back there, maybe I could help. And I think Cad Bane says something like...
Well, Cad says that his memory systems are messed up or something like that. And then the droid freaks out and is like, I feel like I would know if my memory thing went out of order.
Yeah, he gives him like a specific thing. I don't remember exactly what it is, but he's like, well, you've been falling down the stairs a lot, so I'm trying to fix you. And he's like, I don't remember falling down the stairs. Wait, I don't remember falling down the stairs. That must be what it is. I don't remember, so that's why my shit's fucked up or whatever.
Yeah. Yep. Very neurotic character, which I fully enjoy.
Quite so.
So then, Bounty Hunter puts like a couple things inside this droid's head, and then like another bounty hunter opens the door.
It's not in his head. It's like in a built-in metal backpack.
Yeah, it's like in a
it's like a little
storage
data
compartment
card or something.
Yeah, it's just like lays it in there. Yeah.
Yep. Just puts it in there and like closes it up.
Yeah, like it literally looks like he's putting a flash drive in like a little compartment to hold flash drives.
Yep.
But yeah, and then another bounty hunter shows up,
Yeah. Now we
And
have
then-
a male bounty hunter and a female bounty hunter.
Yeah. And then this one is when we finally get the droid's name. The droid asks, "Who are you?" And the lady bounty hunter is like, "What? Who are you?" And then the guy goes, "I am Toto 360." And then the lady is like, "What? Whatever." And then like walks in.
Mm-hmm.
And then again, Toto comes up with like another thing. It's like, "Man, people are really not pleasant today," or something like that.
And there's a running joke in this episode where unnamed bounty hunter keeps referring to Toto as a butler droid.
Yeah.
He's like, "Get the door." And Toto's like, "But that's not my job." And he's like, "You're a butler droid. Get the door." He's like, "I'm not a butler droid."
Yeah, that part, all of everything with Toto, I'm not gonna lie, I really fucking love Toto 360. Toto 360 is fucking awesome. So Lady Bounty Hunter comes in. She is a Claudite, or otherwise known as a changeling.
Hashtag changeling.
Changeling.
And
the
not that
types-
movie with
Angelina
Angelina
Jolie.
Jolie.
Yeah. Directed by Clint Eastwood, which actually unseen by me. I've not seen that one. But yeah, different changeling. And for the first time, we'll get to it. But the last time we have seen a changeling would have been Attack of the Clones with Wessel, Sam
Yep.
Wessel.
Sam Wessel.
Yeah, Sam Wessel.
Sam Wessel.
So
You gotta say it like that because she's got like an old school,
Yeah.
like rifle. Because she's from the Old West. Sam
does
Wessel
have-
from the
yeah,
Old
she does have
West.
that frontierish sort of name. Yeah, Sam Wessel.
There you
Going
go.
gold mining.
Gold mine with Sam Wessel. Where's the prospector?
I don't remember exactly when, but this is about the time we finally learn Dude Bounty Hunter's name.
Yeah.
And Lady Bounty Hunter refers to him as Bane.
Bane.
And I'm going to bring it up right now. We only hear Bane the entire rest of the episode. We never hear anything else for him. He is only referred to as Bane.
Are you sure about that? I thought like in the
I-
final minutes of the show, his full name is dropped. So his name's Cad Bane. I've already
Yes.
said it. We'll call him Cad. Cad Bane,
Yeah.
blue guy.
Yeah, so Cad Bane, because as in my notes, I refer to him as Cad.
Yeah. So I didn't even notice this because, full disclosure, Cad Bane is one of my favorite fucking characters in Star Wars.
Uh-huh.
I fucking love this guy. I love Darth Maul, and I love
Yep.
Cad Bane, and I love Chewbacca, and I love Rogue One, and I love some other stuff. But
America.
I love America. So there's my top 5 things of Star Wars today, and Cad Bane's at number 2. So the fact that he wasn't even introduced by name, which normally I look out for,
Yeah.
breezed right past me because as soon as I saw him, I was excited to see him.
Oh,
Like, my first note was, holy shit, Cad Bane has fangs,
uh-huh.
which I didn't know before. Like, I thought he just had, like, regular teeth, but his canines are elongated.
Yes. I only looked out for it because I do find it interesting the way in which we are watching this show. Because Cad Bane is such a major character throughout the series that I even had to double check that this was our first meeting with him in the series because, again, he has been so ingrained in my mind as a major character in the Star Wars universe. It's just one of those things, right, where you kind of forget your first, like, in my head, even though the show's not that old, like, I don't know of a time before Cad Bane existed in the Star Wars universe for me, per se, right?
It's like Boba Fett.
Yeah. It's just one of those guys who's always kind of been there, right? So going,
He's fucking awesome.
because he's fucking cool, yeah. So going back, seeing the first meeting, I even I did one watch through, and then when I did my watch through where I'm taking notes and shit, I did pause it and then looked up all appearances of Cad Bane and this is indeed like the first one for the Clone Wars, right?
Okay, you said for the Clone Wars, so where does he appear in other information prior to
chronologically as Star Wars related? So like again, I didn't I do believe this is his first appearance period ever.
Okay.
Overall from our Earth timeline, right? There are other appearances of Cad Bane in the Darth Maul comic books. And that I am aware of. That I did get to some of those before I kind of dropped off of reading comics.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to let you go. You can finish this episode on your own because I'm going to get those comics.
Oh, go
right now.
Get those trade paper. Go on Amazon. Get those trade paperbacks, dude.
Yeah.
The Darth Maul series is fucking awesome. So,
cool. Well, I'll talk
basically,
to you tomorrow then.
Yeah, go get all the trade. Well, no, you'll talk to me in like 5 months when you finish all the Star Wars comics you need to read. Which I also need to read a lot of them. But anyways, yeah. So he appears in Darth Maul comics and stuff like that. But in terms of character introductions overall, this is it right here. But again, the character is such a staple that I paid very close attention to when he gets named. Knowing that I knew his name too damn well, you know, and then all we get is Bane through at least most of the episode. I didn't. If anybody said Cad towards the end, I did not catch it. You could possibly be right. Yeah.
Side note: at Star Wars Celebration Orlando last year, I was up on like the 3rd floor in the one area that has like
the various panel rooms going up.
No, like I was on the 3rd floor of the convention center, and like the only area that you can see like all the way down to the bottom floor. Because usually you can only see like 2 floors at a time. I know what you're talking
about. Yeah,
and like the very bottom floor is like the cafeteria or whatever.
Yep.
And I saw a person cosplaying as Cad Bane. And I was like, holy shit! Like I need a fucking picture. So I'm like trying to book it over to the elevator or the escalator, and I'm like elbowing people out of the way, and everybody's looking at me like I'm fucking crazy, because you know,
rightfully so.
What are you rushing to? Like, is Mark Hamill somewhere? Like, Hark,
yeah.
Where is Mark Hamill? But no, it's a guy dressed as Cad Bane. I'm like running down the escalators, and I caught up to him. And, you know, I, like, tapped him on the shoulder, and he's, like, a foot taller than me or whatever. I'm like,
oh, damn.
Can I get a picture? And he probably can't speak, he or she probably can't speak in whatever he's wearing. Maybe he could, maybe they could, maybe they couldn't. Maybe they're just not breaking that cosplay illusion. So I just kind of got a thumbs up and took a nice blurry picture with me and Cad Bane.
Very nice, sir. I don't think I took any pictures with any cosplayers from that Star Wars Celebration.
That's unfortunate.
But I mean, I was in my own world of like staying in line most of the time.
That is, well, I'd spend about half my time in line, if not more. And
like getting 0 sleep and staying in line and getting more no sleep.
That's all right. It happens.
Yeah. So anyways,
back to our bounty hunters.
The other bounty hunter isn't named either, and I never did catch if they get named, but
she is called Cato.
Yes.
Cato. Her last name is never spoken in the episode, but it is Parasitti. Parasitti.
Yes. So just so now that we can actually reference all these people by name. So Lady Bounty Hunter is Cato. Dude Bounty Hunter is Cad.
We got Cad and Cato and Toto.
Toto 360. So
Cad,
during this... Go ahead.
I was going to say Cad pulls up this bio of a Rodian you see on screen. And there's a bunch of Arbesh. And it just translates to like homeworld of Rhodia. Abilities, it says in question. Threat potential says minimal, and then all other information is restricted. And this is Bola Ropal, right? That's how you pronounce it?
Ropal.
It's Ropal. I think it's just
Ropal, I think.
like RuPaul.
Bola. Yeah, like RuPaul. Yeah.
Bolo RuPaul.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because they say it a handful of times towards the end of the episode, but Bola RuPaul, I think, is how they accented that. So that comes up. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Kato's like, "Oh, is this our next target?" And Bane says, "No,
Yeah.
we're gonna steal a holocron." And then they kind of bicker back and forth, like, "No, that's impossible." And he's like, "Nah, it's not impossible." Like, blah blah, whatever. And then he says, "Our client, the Sith Lord," which I thought was interesting because so Bane knows that the person that he's talking to in this hologram is a Sith Lord. Like, there's no, like, Sheevil just calls up and he's like, this is Sheevil. I'm Sith Lord Darth Sidious.
Yeah.
But
I think, as a bounty hunter, I think that information would be kind of easy to come across.
I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It took me off guard because I wasn't aware that. I mean, the Jedi barely know that there is a Sith Lord, right? Mm-hmm. But there are people in civilization, whether or not they are bounty hunters, good, bad, or other, that know about this Sith Lord.
But again, they're in direct contact with this guy, you know. So for Cad to have some information on this guy doesn't bother me because they are, Skyping back and forth.
But the only information that he's going to get on this guy is the information that Sheev wants to give. Sidious isn't. People aren't getting information on Sidious. Sidious is giving information about himself, which means that he volunteered the fact that he is a Sith Lord, which makes it even more strange that this Sith Lord calls you up on Skype and apologizes to you for interrupting.
Well, because, I feel like the information could pass through, say, like, if Cad had communication with, say, like, Dooku, who then refers to Sidious in some manner, right?
I agree with you, but at this point in time, we have no indication that Dooku and Cad Bane
I don't disagree with
know
you
each
there.
other or have anything to do with each other.
I'm just saying, like, I don't feel like for somebody like Cad Bane, I don't feel like this information would be that difficult to come across. That he is talking to a Sith Lord of some sort.
Okay.
I can't justify it per se but I just that one didn't bother me as it seems to bother you. That's kind
it doesn't necessarily bother me. I was just surprised. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. Like I see where you're coming from, but it didn't hit me in that same manner when it came up. So, anyways, moving on. They have the temple map. I'm
gonna speed through a little bit of this.
Let's speed through a bit. Yeah.
Basically, Bane tells Kato the bonuses they got from their Sith Lord buddy. She basically thinks it's impossible. We pan down, like the camera pans down in the apartment to this dead body in his apartment, which I guess is just a normal thing for Cad Bane because she doesn't even question it, and this apartment's not that big. And then Bane introduces this dead body, who is I guess we could call him a former Jedi.
Yep.
Because he is no longer in existence, right? And that is Ord Innocence.
Innocence, yeah. Innocence, yeah.
Yeah, so if this doesn't make it more complicated with the innocence of Ryloth, like maybe this guy was there.
Ord Innocence, yep. So he kind of asks her to do her changeling thing and changeling into Ord Innocence, which she basically does immediately.
Yeah, and the way she does it is she just has to, like, lay her hands upon the body, and then she takes the form of and the clothing of. So the
vocal,
and the vocal intonations of. Yeah. At first, like, her voice stays the same, but then she takes on the voice of innocence.
Yep.
The canon explanation for why her clothes change as well is that her suit contains like holoprojectors, so that when her body changes, like, she's still wearing the same thing, it just projects a different image so that it looks the same as whatever the other person was wearing. Because, like, Zam Wessel, we see her with a pretty Caucasian face and hair and whatnot, and it's only after she's injured that she goes back to, like, her more reptilian face, which people think also happened to Obama and Bush too, and other public figures.
Yep.
Because the reptilians are taking over the flat Earth. Right.
All lizard people. Yep.
So
that explains something, but I'll bring it up later. But so let's continue speeding through this. So Anakin and Obi-Wan are walking around and they are still thinking upon what Yoda said, and they deduce that an intruder would be after information and potentially the transmission codes, so they start heading to the communication center.
Yeah, my note was Annie and Obi do a walk and talk and speculate, and they speculate incorrectly.
Completely.
It's nice to see their Sherlock Holmesian, Watson-esque, like, back and forth deduction, but they're like a couple of kids playing Sherlock Holmes where they're like, oh, we're going to use these clues to deduce this thing, and they're...
But they aren't even pulling from clues. That was, like, the only thing that... Like, I get their line of thinking, but there was no evidence for it.
Their clue is that Yoda had some gas earlier and was like, oh, intruders it must be.
Like, there will be an intruder. But even then, like, they're just working out the word of Yoda, who... Again, there's no evidence for any of this, which I found interesting.
So we cut to Kato / Innocence actually heading into the archives.
Yes.
She runs into Ahsoka. She / he, I don't know what pronoun to use here. Runs into Ahsoka. Ahsoka's bored and is basically pestering this bounty hunter in disguise.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, ooh, let me help you. And he's like, no, girl, I'm fine.
Yeah. And then she's like, are you sure? Like, that, I agree with Kato / Ord on that, because it's like, it's something like 3 times Ahsoka asks, and it's 3 times Kato says no.
And then Ahsoka straight gets fucking yelled at.
Yeah. Well, because, like, Ahsoka pulls an "Are you sure?" which is like, I allow it once. Once you ask me that twice, it bothers the fuck out of me.
Right.
You know. So, and this is like the 4th time coming out of Ahsoka. And it depends. Like, it'd be one thing if it's like, you and I are lost in the fucking woods, and I'm like, hey, I think we need to go left. And you're like, are you sure? And I'm like, maybe. And then you ask again, like, are you sure? You know, like, that's one thing.
You could look at the map, but I threw that shit in the river.
In the river. I kicked that fucking map into the fucking
river.
But it's one thing where it's like, hey, do you need help? No. Do you need anything else? No. Do you want a Pepsi? No.
What about a Pepsi Zero?
No. Are you sure? Bitch, I will destroy you. Like, so I am all on board with this yelling at that Ahsoka gets, because it's like, it's one of those things where, like, if I'm at a store, an employee approaches me and asks if I need help, that's perfectly fine. That's part of their job, you know, because you don't fucking know. If I say no, and then they come back while I'm just browsing around the fucking jeans or something like that, and they ask me again. I'm like, I'm good. I'm fucking good. Like, I know how to fucking search for jeans, okay? Like,
yeah, I was car shopping one time and made the mistake of going to a car dealership, and a guy approached me, and I had a specific car in mind with a specific price range, and I made the mistake of sharing that with him, and they didn't have exactly what I wanted, so I'm like, all right, I'm just going to go look around. And he's hounding me, and I'm like, look, man, just fucking let me look. Like, you already told me you don't have what I'm looking for, so I'm going to look around, and then I'm probably going to get in my car, and I'm going to leave. And like 5 minutes later, this dude zooms up on a golf cart, like, hey, man, can I help you? Did you find anything? Can I help you? And I'm like, I just kind of looked at him and shrugged, and he goes, what about that Tiburon right there? You look like a guy that would love to drive a Tiburon. And I was like, I didn't come here to buy a fucking Tiburon. Like, one, exactly. Back off. Two, I don't want to drive a fucking Tiburon, right?
Yeah.
He's like, well, what about that Tiburon? It's blue.
Yeah. Like, if you wanted the fucking Tiburon, you would have asked for it. So, back the fuck off. I agree.
I don't want a Tiburon.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's, I mean, I have, that's why I don't like dealerships to begin with, too. Any sort of commission sales like that. Like, even like fucking furniture shopping, I fucking hate that shit. So I agree. It's like, I will approach you when I need help,
Not the other way around.
This will be our agreement.
When you do need help, nobody's fucking there.
Of course, nobody's ever fucking there.
When you find that couch that you want, nobody cares. They're all sitting on the couch that nobody wants.
Oh yeah. Well, I have like left situations before where, somebody could have gotten commission, but nobody was around, so I left. Even when my family was here, like, somebody fucked up really bad, and we actually complained to management, and then I got really pissed off because the management person didn't seem to understand either. She was trying to like make light of it, and I was like, hold up, bitch. Like, I hesitate to say what we were gonna buy because it just is gonna make my family sound like a snob, but we were gonna buy my mom a bag, from Louis Vuitton, and there's a process where, because the mall we shop at is like one of the flagship stores, so it's like really fucking busy, you have to like check in with a person if you want help. Otherwise you can walk around and browse as much as you want, but at the moment you do want one of these items, you kind of have to check in with somebody, and then they will send first come first serve
people over.
Yeah, they'll send somebody to find you as soon as a person is available, right? So we check in with this person, and the lady's like, oh, it's only going to be like 5-10 minutes, so don't worry, just hang out somewhere. And then my sister and I are sitting there for like 15 minutes, and we're like, it's been a while, hasn't it? And like, we're seeing people who definitely came in after us, like getting helped. So then we kind of give it a few more minutes, but then we go over and we ask the lady, and we're like, hey, we've been waiting for a while, and we kind of have other stuff to do, so if like,
you want to sell us this bag, fucking bring somebody over here.
Yeah, so we kind of asked, we're like, are we on the list? And then we're like, well, just take our name off the list anyways, because like, we've been waiting for way too long. We have to go. And again, this was like a time we were on a mission. We knew exactly what we were going to get my mom.
We are not buying this bag because we're going to Qdoba and we're hungry.
Right, yeah, basically. But so we tell the lady, we're like, oh, just take us off the list because it's been too fucking long. And she goes through the list, and she's like, you're not actually on the list. And we're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, we walked up to you, and we gave you the name, and my sister's name is Lindsay. It's not that fucking difficult, right? And the lady was like, oh, the description is wrong. And we're like, you're the one holding the iPad. You're the one who put it in. Yeah. And they're like, we're just like looking at this lady. We're like, what the fuck are you talking about? Your one job. This is your one fucking job. So then we leave like all fucking pissed off. But then I'm like, look, this one is so stupid enough that I do want to talk to management on this one. Like, usually I'll just like leave, right? This one was so fucking dumb. I talked to management, and the lady was like, well, sometimes like people could wait up to 30 minutes. I'm like, I don't care about other days. Today you told us 5 to 10, and then we weren't on the fucking list. Yeah. And then
you're missing the point here.
Yeah, you're missing the goddamn point. Yeah, it's like, and I'm very specific. I'm like, that lady didn't know how to spell Lindsay apparently, and couldn't write in a goddamn description or send somebody over to us. So then at that moment, she was like, the lady was then still trying to like make the sale, and she was like, well, what are you looking for? And we're like, oh, we were here for a keep all, or a carry all, or sorry, no, a never full. That's what we're looking for, a never full. We were very specific, and the lady was like, well, like we could get you help. And I was like, you're missing the other point in that we wanted her name off the list because we have other things to do. The only reason I'm still here is because this is so stupid.
You people suck.
Yeah, I'm telling you that this is so stupid that I have to let you know that for a high-end fashion store, this is ludicrous. This is absolutely stupid. And I told her straight up, I was like, I'm not going to lie. It makes me never want to come in the store again because it's so stupid. And
clearly,
she was like,
you didn't have the correct cufflinks on.
Oh, clearly not. Or whatever. I mean, like, what's weird is, like, I've purchased stuff from there before, but, like, she was like, well, this is our flagship store, so we're going to have stuff that, like, if you go to, like, Nordstrom's or Saks, like, they won't have all of it. I'm like, lady, I know how this works. Like, I've been a customer with you guys for, like, 10, 15 years now. Don't be telling me about how flagship stores work. I'm telling you that I won't shop at this one. I would rather drive an hour to like fucking Beverly Hills than give business to this specific store. So, and she was like, I was like, look, lady, sorry. At times I can be a very difficult, stern customer. So
this has been customer service Lorenzo hour.
Oh, yeah. So don't fuck with me.
If you have any questions about customer service or how to react to a situation, you can hit up Lorenzo on Facebook at Not the Nerds Podcast.
If you want to complain about first world problems, I'm your guy. I'm definitely your guy. Carrying on. We really got to speed through the rest of this now.
So our
Ahsoka
changeling friend Kato / Ord Innocence hacks a computer, maybe? I don't know.
I don't even think she does that. I think she literally just logs into the computer, which I don't understand how or why security is so lax.
It's because it is open to 1,000% of the information in the galaxy.
Without any need to. Because like, it's assumed that if you're in there, you're already a Jedi. So
yes, and Ahsoka is supposed to be on guard duty and fucking failed. So
to be fair, Ord is a pretty good disguise. Like,
that is true.
By all means. So what Kato looks up is basically the schematics of the Jedi Temple, and finds like the one kind of open hole that you can kind of pass through a shield.
One might call it a loophole.
Yeah, the actual
shield loophole.
So this allows Cad and Toto to find that spot, and then Toto's like, oh, here it is, and then opens up a hole.
Touches the fucking
the shield, and then like a hole opens up. It's like a perfect circle too, like when fucking Catwoman like scratches her claws around, like but the digital version of that.
Yeah. So my note was the break-in equals anticlimactic.
Oh yeah, it just fucking happens. While it happens, we cut back to Anakin and Obi-Wan kind of in the security room.
Yeah, they're actually separate.
Or they're separated. That's right.
Ord says, I'm going to jam the scanners, and then we see Obi-Wan standing in front of a bunch of screens. I guess he's in like the security department or something, and they like blip. And then he goes, what the fuck was that? And then Anakin pops up on Holo, and he's like, oh, I'm at the communication center. But something weird happened, like all the screens just blipped, and then they talk to each other, and they're like, something's awry, and then Yoda pops in, he was like, oh, yes, awry something is, like, check this out, you must. Go
what's funny
to
is,
the thing.
In the middle of that, too, Obi-Wan asks a droid, is like, hey, did you see that? Like, what was that? And the droid is like, oh, it's probably just the system's restarting.
The systems are refreshing. Worry not.
Don't fucking worry about it. So that all happens, and then while
well, real quick, Annie suggests that because Yoda's like, yeah, the fucking intruders are here, Annie's like, check the ventilation system, that's probably where they are. Obi-Wan scans and says, yep. And then at this point, we have a plot A, plot B, and plot A is plot A is Cad Bane.
Intruding. Yeah.
Yeah. Plot A is intruders intruding, and plot B is pursuers pursuing.
Yeah, pursuers pursuing. Yeah. So
we cut back and forth from intruders to pursuers to intruders to pursuers, back and forth.
Yeah. So cutting back to Kato, she's still kind of like doing her schematic breakdown and feeding that information to Cad. Jocasta interrupts and is like, "Hey, what are you doing here? Because the temple's on high alert."
Well, I don't think she was questioning. I think she was, she's letting Ord know.
Yes, yeah. So
she says, "Hey, just to let you know, the temple's on high alert." And Ord's like, "Thank you," and then just fucking karate chops her in the
knocks
face.
her out. Yeah. So then Jocasta goes down, and then Kato takes on her appearance.
Yep.
This is when I wanted to bring up that I noticed that she gets like the blips. She gets little glitches that happen herself, which now makes sense if her clothing is being hologrammed onto her.
Yeah.
Which answers my question about that. My main question is, where the fuck is Ahsoka this whole time?
She's taking a nap.
Basically.
Or a Dooku. I don't know.
Yeah, she's just off somewhere. So we cut to... Are we going to call Intruders Intruding Plot A? Or are we calling that Plot B? Okay,
we'll
so Intruders Intruding Plot A. So jumping to Plot B, we have Anakin and Obi-Wan. They go to the point where they saw activity, and they're like, yep, this is definitely the spot where the intruders intruded.
Which means they left the fucking building and then like climbed up the outside, I guess, because they're outside on like a ledge. Yeah. And Obi-Wan's like, this is where they broke in. And he goes, good thing it'll be way easier for us. And there's like a fucking access force activated panel or something.
Basically. Like they basically just turn off the entire like shield at that point.
Yep.
And then like the whole, like the porthole that Toto and Cad walk in is already down, so they just step in themselves, right?
Yeah.
Like, so they just step into the vent.
From here on out, the Jedi are on the chase, shall we say.
So then we do cut to Yoda, too, who's talking to Obi-Wan and Anakin, and more deduction is made that the intruders are getting help from the inside.
Yes, they have an insider.
Yeah. So
naturally, Yoda sends Ahsoka to go find Jocasta Nu.
Which I don't understand that line of logic whatsoever, but
I think because she's in charge of the archives, and I think Yoda is presuming that the insider is probably inside the archives, so I can follow that. I can't follow something that happens here shortly, and
what is the suspicion for? Like, why is Yoda's suspicion that the intruder is in the archives more or less valid than?
Because it contains all of the informations. Okay. If you want some informations to help you out,
all the informations.
Right, and all you have to do to get an entire schematic and blueprints and fucking access codes and everything to the entire Jedi Temple is walk into the archives and sit down at any random computer.
Okay, I'll go with that. Okay, so go ahead.
Ahsoka finds Jocasta, right?
Yes.
And she walks up, and I don't even know that there's like an icebreaker here. She just goes, "Who the fuck are you? You're not Jocasta New."
Yeah, she kind of just runs up and is like, "What have you done with Jocasta?" And I don't know again where this deduction was made. I watched it a couple times to try and make sure that Ahsoka didn't find Jocasta like on the ground, or like that Jocasta was still just behind Kato as Jocasta.
Because we do see Kato, like when Kato takes over Jocasta's form, shall we say, appearance is a better term. She just like, we see her drag her for a little bit. So I think it would have been nice if Ahsoka walked up and like sees Jocasta and is like, "Madam, and like looks down and sees like another Jocasta New on the floor, like crammed under the computer terminal or whatever. Yeah. And like looks back and forth a couple times before she goes into this full blown accusation / assault.
See, that's what I thought was sort of happening, like, because while Ahsoka is talking and she just has like the slightest glance to the floor, and I'm like, I can't tell if she actually is seeing Jocasta or if that's just like a thing that she's doing, just so that she's like not locking eye contact the entire time from an animation standpoint.
Yeah, I missed that little glance, but maybe that's what it is.
It's the tiniest little glance. Again, I watched it a handful of times just to try and figure out where Ahsoka was coming up with this shit, So
one thing we did breeze over is that so Cad and Toto are running through the ventilation system that is, I don't know, the size of my fucking house. It's gigantic. Yeah. And there's booby traps inside, essentially.
Like lasers and
like sensors that turn fucking like death fans on and shit like that. And so they have made it through all of this stuff down to right above the Holocron vault. And Anakin and Obi-Wan took a wrong turn, and they're going toward the communication center, but then they eventually like turn back around, and it's at this point that Kato is telling Bane what he needs to do to get through this laser grid to get to the Holocron vault, that Ahsoka comes up and interrupts her, and so naturally they fight.
Yep.
Jocasta Nu apparently keeps her lightsaber inside her Jedi robes, even though she's a librarian.
Now here's my new question.
Sure.
Why does Kato have the lightsaber?
Ooh, because she took it off of Jocasta.
That was the only thing I could think of, but it's still just a weird thing that kind of happens.
It is not a question that even arose in my mind.
Because is that Jocasta's lightsaber or is that Ord's lightsaber?
That's an even better question. It's Ord's.
Yeah, like, is it just the same lightsaber she's been holding on to the entire time? Also, like, I don't think I saw it, but like, if now knowing that she has hologram clothing, like, if she knows where the lightsaber is amongst her physical clothing, yeah, she just reaches through then, right? Like, she does, like, it would be wrong of her to open like her cloak to reach in, right?
Yeah, it's I think that I think the idea is that it's like holographic. I don't know.
She's just reaching through.
I can't.
Yeah, she's just reaching through.
I'm reaching through for answers.
Yeah.
The idea. That's the idea they came up with, so that the changeling could could alter their clothing as well, because they're body shapeshifters, but they're not like shapeshifters in Star Trek, where like I don't think that Zam Wessel could just become like a fire hydrant or something.
Yeah. No, there are certain limits to it. Yeah.
But what's the shapeshifter on Deep Space Nine?
That one's so far in my past, I don't recall.
Mord or something like that. I don't remember. But I want to say there's an episode where he became like a stack of fucking gold bars.
No, there's
to set up somebody for like a fucking burglary. The Hamburglar was there.
Burglary. See, this one I can help you with. Burglary. Fascistus. Damn it.
Yeah, you can't do that one.
Why can't I do that one? Fascistus.
I don't know, man.
Nope. Fascistia. It's an anemone. Anemone.
We've done the anemone thing before.
Yeah,
because let's move
there
past.
Are plenty of fucking words I will never be able to say.
We'll move past that one. So Ahsoka, right, so there's a fight. And what do you have notes on the Ahsoka Kato fight?
No, just that it happens, and where did the lightsaber come from? That was
my note was they fight, and then there's a couple of blank lines, and it says "badass fight." Like, I really enjoyed this. This is a great lightsaber
good fight.
battle.
It's definitely a really good fight. It's well done, well choreographed. You know,
I don't necessarily like the way that it ends. I don't like the line that Ahsoka uses, I think is what it is, because she says, you may have the shape of Madame Jocasta, but you don't have the skill. But honestly, this lightsaber fight is pretty fucking good. So
for Ahsoka to say that after like not really beating her down completely,
yeah, like if it was like a clash, and then Kato like accidentally cuts her foot off or something, she's like, and falls down, then I accept that line. But they go over tables and across computer terminals and in between aisles of electronic books.
Yeah.
And past the vape store, and like they're clash for clash, saber to saber. They're not cutting chairs up or
and it's not like Kato is looking worried at all the entire time either.
No, it's a good fight. It's well choreographed. It's nice.
She's going after. Yeah. So I agree with you. Also, does that mean at some point that like either Ahsoka has seen Jocasta in action, or like they have actually sparred off at some point?
I think that there is probably archival holo-vid footage of some masters in training.
That makes sense.
Watching,
like just going watching like Bruce Lee videos.
I was going to bring up Bruce Lee with some nunchucks,
Yeah. Yeah, just Bruce Lee going at it with the nunchakus,
with any type of weapon.
Just any of the weapons, Just the 1-inch punch,
Yeah.
So that makes sense. Yeah. So then with Jocasta out, actually there's one little joke, not joke, but there's one little thing that happens between when the transition happens between Ord to Jocasta, and then Kato calls in to Cad Bane, and Cad is like, "What happened to your voice?"
And she said, "Change of plans. I'm a librarian now."
Yeah. I did enjoy that little moment.
I find this hilarious because my mom was a librarian for like fucking 20 years. So I'm just imagining like my mom all of a sudden with a lightsaber, like whooping ass,
just going nuts on people
at the library.
This is what happens when you don't pay your fees, bitch. Like
something like that,
right? So, anyways, moving on. So, Cad is trying to contact Kato. She's not responding, so he knows something is up. Tells Toto to go to the communication center.
Yeah, they had been they've been doing this weird Avengers shit where, first of all, they all have like Avengers earpieces so they can hear and talk to each other. And it's explicit in a scene earlier where Cad is like, hey, here's our Avengers earpieces so we can communicate with each other.
Yeah.
And that comes into play a couple times up to this point. But Cad
I don't know why. Go ahead.
Cad's doing that weird Iron Man thing where it's just like energy projecting out of the top of his wrist or something. Like,
it's like his James Bond like watch laser.
Yeah. Doesn't Iron Man like does that now that he's got like the nanotech, right?
Yeah, he has the laser thingy. Yeah, he's been doing that for a while, I thought. Even his older Mark suits have, at least since like Iron Man 3, he's had like the laser thing. Because remember, like, I think either in Iron Man 2 or 3, when he's like redecorating.
So Toto is like cutting through the wall with a laser, but Cad has like a full like forearm width like wavy energy thing that's like coming off the top of his wrist that's like to like the clock on the wall or the lock or whatever it is. So more specifically than just like a Buzz Lightyear like pew laser like beam.
Then in that case, I don't think Iron Man does have that.
Okay.
Like his nanos still just do fairly normal Iron Man things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will.
Anyways,
I'm not a big fan of the nanotech of Stark. But that's
a different conversation because I was
gonna good story for another time.
Yeah. So let's move on. Toto goes to the communication center, and Cad knows that the Jedi are hot on their trail, so then he creates a distraction and sets off a small charge that explodes, and we see it from Anakin and Obi-Wan's point of view, where like the ground kind of shakes and like some smoke kind of enters the ventilation shaft. Right.
So I thought, no, that's all Toto. Like he sends Toto into the communication center, and like as Toto's like walking through this air duct, he like taps him on the back, like on the little pack where he put the thing earlier, right? And so Toto walks in and comes out in front of like all of the Jedis.
There's one small charge that explodes first.
Oh, I missed that.
There's a small charge that explodes first to distract them. That's why when Obi-Wan and Anakin get to the main giant tube that they were previously in, it's filled with smoke, and then that's why they think that they both went to the communication center because there's the hole in the ground. And they're like, oh, that's what that little explosion was.
So the explosion was to blow open the doors to the vault, I'm guessing.
Something like that, yeah. But it's a cover from that Anakin and Obi-Wan. They think that charge blew that hole in the side of the vent.
Right. So
then,
they head... Yeah. And, well, they can't even head that way because it's like 1 foot by 1 foot square.
Yeah, and yet somehow they make it into that same vent. Because, then we see Toto... Yeah, because then we see Toto opening up the vent, and he stumbles upon Mace and Yoda and Isla. What?
Is it?
Isla Secure. Ahsoka's not there. She's still in the...
She's still in the library.
Isla Secura is there? Oh, who is it? The blue one. Bluey.
Isla Secura.
Yeah, Bluey. So Bluey is there.
Professor Plum.
Yeah.
Miss
none
Scarlet.
of them say anything. They're just all there.
And Toto's like, oh, hi-yo.
I'm just checking on
testing that access hatch. Looks like everything works good. And he turns around to put the hatch back in place.
Yeah.
And his back has the obligatory like flashing light because
like it's flashing red and beeping. It's audibly beeping. And so then Mace is the one with the sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Says, bomb. And then Toto's like, what bomb? Is something gonna explode? Like
where's the bomb? And he gets all freaked out, and then Mace force pushes him back into the ventilation
into
shaft.
Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yep. And Anakin and Obi-Wan see Toto getting pushed back, and they're going, "Oh shit, this isn't good," and they run off too, and then the bomb explodes, but everybody's fine except for Toto.
Yeah,
Toto's gone. Yep.
Toto is totaled.
But meanwhile, so that happens, which creates a big distraction while Cad opens up the Holocron vault door.
And he just straight walks in.
Yeah, he just walks in. There's no issue. He just grabs one. There's no other security once you're in there.
Nope.
Whatsoever. Takes one.
Why, Lorenzo, is there a fucking hatch into, like a floor-level hatch into the Holocron vault from a twice human-sized air vent?
That I was everything about the security around the Holocrons. I have many questions on. That is yet another one that was kind of there, but I hadn't explicitly formulated the way you did. Yeah, there are a lot of questions I have. Like, I feel like there would be some sort of safety precaution for a Holocron getting removed without somebody like checking in per se.
Like, maybe you would have to use the Force to remove it.
Something, right? Nope. He just fingers on, grabs it out.
Fingers on and grabs it out. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah.
Words. I know all the words.
This vault reminded me of a small scale version of the room in the Ministry of Magic in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
It's like the Prophecy Vault. I don't know what it's called. Prophecy Vault.
Yeah, just the vault with like all the various orb.
Blue, they're crystal, like blue glowy orbs.
Yeah, the crystal balls or whatever
that contain the prophecies. Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, I can see
Except for
that.
These are blue glowy squares that are
like they're inserted in another. Like they aren't on shelves. They're
like inserted into the shelf.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like there's a perfect hole for them to be held. Yep. And then Cad fingers around the hole and takes out the...
as he is wont to do.
So...
because his best friend is a droid and a dead Jedi with too many nostrils.
Yes.
That run sideways.
So pretty much in the next scene that happens, we get Yoda walking into the Holocron vault, and there's definitely just the missing one.
Yeah, so along the way, Ahsoka has caught Kato.
Yes.
She rats out Bane and says he's actually there for a Holocron. Then there's like the bomb situation that happens. And then when we cut to the outside of the vault, they're actually outside the vault, like on the library side, door open. I think that Ahsoka is still parading Kato around.
Yes.
Even though she seems to have been doing that for like minutes. And Obi-Wan, Yoda, Anakin, and Mace all walk up, and there's like one holocron missing.
Yep.
So they all fucking see that the holocron's gone.
Cad is walking around in a robe, like literally
Cad is in
away.
a Jedi robe.
Yep. Just feet away from Ahsoka. But then Kato decides to say more information.
Yeah, I feel like I missed a little something in between. Yoda says something about, I think, what's he say? He says it wasn't about our communication information all along, or something like that. No, and then it slow pans over while Ahsoka is walking out, and somebody says, "Why would anybody want to steal a holocron? You need a Jedi to open a holocron." And it's here or soon after that Kato rats out Bane again, and she just says, "Bala Rapal." And Mace is like, "What'd you say?" She's like, "Bala Rapal, that's that's Bane's next target.
Yeah.
It's some Jedi. Anakin is like, okay, well, who's that? And so Mace says he's the keeper of the Kyber crystal.
Mm-hmm.
The Kyber crystal.
Yep. Just
Which
the one singular.
I really like that Kyber crystals came into canon, and I really, really like the way that they played out in Rogue One.
Yes.
That, like, Kyber crystals are a thing, and the Empire actually used Kyber crystals to power the Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's even cooler, I think. This makes it sound like Kyber crystals are more special, I guess.
Yeah.
And Ahsoka asks, so what's on the Kyber crystal? And Mace says that it houses all of the names of all of the Force sensitive children in all of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes me feel like this particular Kyber crystal is like sentient or something, to the point where when there are new offspring, can it sense that there are new Force sensitive children? Would it have picked up and or had the name of the Broom Kid?
No, I didn't think of it that way at all.
Okay.
I thought of it as like a Kyber crystal in which they put the information on as another flash drive, essentially.
Okay. So it's just like the current list that they have.
Yeah, like, so they can get a read on Force sensitive children, and then they hold on to that information, right?
So
because
Qui-Gon, when he got back to Coruscant, was like, hey, I need to find Bola Rapal so I can put Anakin's name on the Kyber crystal.
Something like that. There's nothing that I could see with how you described it. Also, because the Holocron, the reason the Holocron needed to be stolen first is because the information on the Kyber crystal can only be read by the Holocron.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So,
which is okay.
So that's why in my head it was like a data transfer sort of thing, but it still doesn't make any sense now.
It doesn't make.
Yeah. In any case, it doesn't make any sense. Like, there are too many steps for.
Well, so there's one guy with the names of all the Force sensitive children, and Mace is like, these kids in the future are gonna be younglings, but I thought you had to get them like young,
Yeah.
I thought that
when they're infants.
Right, I thought
like,
that
not
it
even
was
toddlers, like full infants.
I thought that it was the way that Qui-Gon did it with Anakin, where he like finds this kid and he's like, oh, this kid is really strong in the Force. I'll give him a miscellaneous blood test and then take him back to the temple. Or I thought, like what Plo Koon did with Ahsoka, like he found her and she was Force sensitive, so he fucking swooped her up. He didn't go back to the temple, and then they sent somebody, because it is to be noted, back to the story, Obi-Wan says, well, let's go get him, and Mace says, nope, but he's off the grid, and he's somewhere in the Deveron system.
Yeah.
Which I'm thinking the Deveron system will come up in a future episode.
Yeah,
so
probably.
I didn't look into that.
Yeah.
Yoda looks all sad, and he's like, okay, go find him. And then Anakin and Ahsoka are essentially, Anakin's like, all right, I'll take Ahsoka and we'll go find Bola. And Obi-Wan says, well, if this Cad Bane is still on Coruscant, I'll find him. And then he goes to leave the library and bumps into some blue-skinned alien in a Jedi cloak, I think, is what happens right off screen.
Yeah.
That's a joke.
Yeah.
Because that would have been Cad Bane.
Basically,
like, I'll find him, and then runs into him. Literally runs into him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, this Kyber crystal business, maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll get a little bit more explanation on it, but I'm not really feeling the I like that kyber crystals are included. I don't like that they're included as this weird data point thing. I'm not following.
Here's the other thing that confuses me too is like, other than the information on the holocrons, obviously, why does this kyber crystal have this information, and why does the archive not have this information? If the archive is to house all information according to what we have heard from Attack of the Clones, right?
I do not have that. I don't have an answer to that.
Yeah. So
I
that
wish I did, but I can't banter with you on this one.
Yeah, that was one that was a point that kind of got brought up, or that's just something I thought of that did slightly bother me there too. So anyway, so Obi-Wan says he'll go find Cad, and then we kind of show all of them walking off in their disparate directions, and then we kind of see Yoda standing there kind of all sad.
Yeah, and then he walks off stage left, and we iris out and cue loud music.
Cue loud music. Yep.
There it is.
So, it's Holocron Heist.
Holocron Heist.
Holocron. So
that's the one that happened with Roseanne. You don't want to hear that.
Jesus Christ. All right, man.
She's a Holocron, if you know what I mean.
Oh boy. All right, man.
Cast notes.
Go for it.
Cad Bane is voiced by Corey Burton, who also does the voice of Dooku. That's who I was going to say.
Yes.
Yeah. Corey Burton does Dooku and does Cad Bane. You already brought up that Toto is Seth Green.
Yeah.
Jocasta Nu is by a lady named Flo Diary, I guess.
I'm gonna go DeRay on that one.
DeRay?
I mean,
it's spelled Dyer. It's capital D, lowercase I, capital R, lowercase E.
Yeah.
DeRay. Kato is Gwendolyn Yeo, who I know we've seen before. I believe that she was the Holo radio DJ.
Oh.
And then another character since then, I can't remember who it is. Ord Essence is our good buddy D. Bradley Baker.
Very nice.
That's pretty close to his actual voice is Ord.
Mm-hmm.
At least the most close that we have seen or heard, rather. We don't really see voices too often. Sidious, and the credit is just for Darth Sidious, not Sheev or Sheevil or Darth Sidious / Palpatine or whatever is Ian Abercrombie. So that's what I got on cast.
Cool.
And I actually didn't write down the who directed this or who wrote it, so I'll have to look that up.
The director is Justin Ridge, and the writer is Paul Dini.
All right.
I got that. All right, buddy, let's wrap this up. What do you think about this episode?
Thumbs up, buddy. All the way.
Yeah?
Well, not all the way. It goes up and down, up and down. But I think, as with Darth Maul, you give me some Cad Bane, I'm gonna look past the silliness, and I like Cad Bane. I like Cad Bane a lot. Mm-hmm. He's a good dude. He's a bad dude, but he's a good dude.
But yeah, he's a good character. Definitely a good character. Yeah. I'm in full agreement. Like, I have a lot of problems with this episode, as we have discussed. But again, we've kind of talked about how in this format where we're kind of nitpicking things, that's a different part of my brain than just sitting down and enjoying an episode, right? Mm-hmm. Like, this is a well put together episode. The story flows. It moves, right?
Yeah. Like, I looked deeper into this Ord Essence character, okay? And paragraph by paragraph on Wikipedia, it's somewhat contradictory, where the first paragraph says, you know, he was a Jedi, he was on this one planet doing this stuff, a bounty hunter named Cad Bane tracked him down and killed him. And then later it says, like, Cad brought his body back to Coruscant. And then later it says that his body was... It's weird because it kind of, like, the Wikipedia article kind of implies that when Sidious says that he's going to give them something to help them get in, that Sidious provides the body.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Cad Bane went and killed this dude, and then his body was transported back to Coruscant, which somehow got to Palpatine, and then Palpatine as Sidious gave it back to Cad Bane so that Cad Bane could sneak into... It's this weird convoluted thing. Like, somebody definitely overwrote that Wikipedia
See, yeah, that's
article.
the thing about Wikipedia, where some of the shit, like, I don't... Where are you getting this information from, right? So, that I find curious.
I actually have the character encyclopedia of the Clone Wars
Very nice.
in my hand, so I'm going to see what... you can keep talking for a little bit, and I am going to see what words...
Yeah. No, for this one, yeah, I think this is just a straightforward, solid episode. Where even when we get to plot A, plot B, again, we've discussed this before, where it's just the two sides of a single plot, right? So all these characters are working towards, or they're not working towards the same thing, but it's all just one thing, rather than what was happening a lot in season 1, where it's like, these characters need to escape from this weird random cell thingy. And then this other set of characters have their own different problems, where they're fighting a thing, but they don't have anything to do with each other. This is one singular story that is flowing. And I like the openness at the end, where the story definitely has an ending. Again, back to what I was saying at the beginning of this episode of serialized storytelling versus episodic, and how you sometimes you have to blend the two, right? So this, yeah, there's definitely an endpoint to this episode, but it leaves things open, especially as the premiere episode of season 2. I think it succeeds on that level as well, of trying to leave something here so that I'm excited to watch the rest of the season as well. So
do you foresee an extension of whatever happens with this holocron in the future, in future episodes?
I mean, we'll get back to it at some point, surely, right?
Okay.
Like this, there are enough. I mean, it literally ends with Ahsoka and Anakin getting new goals, and then Obi-Wan providing a goal of his own as well, right?
I have 2 questions for this episode, and then I'm going to let you go.
Yeah.
Question 1, is it really necessary to show all of this stuff on Felucia at the beginning of the episode? Like, couldn't we have just started with, hey, Ahsoka, we got a new assignment for you. We need you to go do this. Or Anakin saying, hey, we need some info on yada da. Go do some research in the fucking Jedi archives. Instead of
I think
50,000 droid against Ahsoka battle.
To this episode specifically, I'm going to say no, but I think overall, I do like that it's kind of a reset for her character.
Okay.
I think, to me, after watching it a second time, I had that thought as well. I kind of saw the Felucia business as a prologue to the main story, almost. If they wanted to handle all of that in the newsreel, I feel like they could have gotten away with it. But I feel like it was a way to kind of reset where Ahsoka is as a character, so that I don't think she fully recovered in this episode, but maybe later she'll build back on top of that.
So
Does that
she
make
needed
sense?
the reprimand to self-correct her path moving forward in the
series as a whole. Yes,
Okay.
I agree. Yeah.
All right,
Like that.
I guess I can swallow that. That's a pill I can take.
It doesn't have any bearing on this specific story, but as for the whole series, there might be a bigger picture regarding that. So that business didn't bother me terribly. So,
okay. Second question.
Yes.
We've got 2 pairings of Jedi in this episode, and it's Ahsoka and Jocasta Nu, who gets knocked out, so then it's just Ahsoka.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have 2 of, like, the quote-unquote best Jedi Masters in the fucking galaxy, Obi and Anakin, right? Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker, they're always fucking teamed up together, and I know that they're put together because they're 2 main characters on this show, and that they go on missions and shit together. It makes sense when they are Master Padawan. It doesn't make sense when they're Master Master or Master Knight or Knight Knight or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Like, you put your aces in your places. When your 2 best guys when you have multiple shifts, they don't work the same shift together.
Mm-hmm. I think in this episode especially, I think the idea is that they're already at the Jedi Temple anyway, so they're all there, right?
Well, everybody's there at the end of the episode, and the last thing that Obi-Wan says is like, you go find them, I'll go find... You
go that way, I'll go home.
Exactly. Like, hey, like, we'll split up. Like, before they should have split up. And so when they're lost in the fucking air ducts, instead of like, ooh, I think we took a wrong turn, so they both fucking backtrack. Like, no, you're in the air ducts. There's a fucking T with multiple ways to go. Yeah. And Anakin's like, ooh, which way should we go? And they both take the same path. No, fucking split up, man.
No, like, you're thinking too small, because, like, I did have this problem with the entire episode. Again, the episode is still entertaining enough that I do like it. But my problem is, if they're going to make the deduction that the intruders are going to go for a communication center, why is it just on those 2? Why didn't they make 5 deductions and then call up Isla, tell Mace, tell Yoda, like, hey, we think that they might be going after information, and they would be going to the communication center for transmission codes or whatever. But, hey, it also could be Jedi archives. It could be training room. It could be this. So, Mace, why don't you go check here? Yoda, check there. Isla, check there.
So
right?
They did call Yoda at one point in time because they took like the wrong tunnel and they were headed toward the communication center. And then they get like down to the end of the junction and Anakin's like, I think we went the wrong way. Yeah. And then he calms Yoda and says, do you see any other life forms in the fucking air ducts? Mm-hmm. And Yoda says, all cryptically, deep inside the Jedi Temple, the intruder is.
Yeah.
Go to him, you must. So then they backtrack and they go over where Bane is, which is apparently one small hatch away from where they were close to anyway.
But what I'm saying is, why didn't they start with that? Like, that's way down the line. Like, that's way, way, way down the line. But, like, that scene of them walking down... Yeah.
I agree with you.
But, so... when they're fucking walking around the hallway and they're like, well, I'll go check the communication center and I'll go look at the security footage. I'm like, no, get any of the other Jedi to go do 5 other things as well. You know,
because there weren't enough Jedi in the temple.
They're all over the place.
There was like 10 in the Jedi Council. Yeah. And Ahsoka knows like all of them by name. And it's because they were on high alert, man. Gets them Jedi fucking freaked out.
Yeah.
They clam up. They get constipated. You know.
No, yeah, it's like there are definitely logical logic holes in this one, but again, I think overall, in terms of the way the story was presented, I think it's hard to nitpick at it when you're watching this through. So
This is a good episode, and if you just sit down and watch it, I think that you'll enjoy it. If you sit down and try to watch it repeatedly 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 times, or in Lorenzo's case 2, you know stuff will stick out to you, but overall it's good.
This is a hard episode, like, other than the fact that you and I, like, our format is built around it, but it's one of those things where it's like you can't sit down and be pedantic with an episode like this one, where it at least moves.
It does. And plus we get Cad Bane. He's awesome.
And then we get the introduction to Cad Bane, so I think that's a good start for Cad Bane for sure.
Yep. That's all I got for this week.
Yep, that's all I got. All right. Do you know what episode's coming up next week? I didn't even look.
Yes, next week we have Season 2, Episode 2, Cargo of Doom.
Very nice. Very cool. All right.
Pretty sure Indiana Jones is in that one, but we'll find out.
All right. So, want to give our shout-outs? Yeah?
Yeah. Hey, shout out to Kevin Warren at They Call Me K-Dub on Twitter and Instagram. He's our illustrator. And why don't you guys shoot Lindsay an email, strangefantasymusic@gmail.com. Ask her to do some music for you or your podcast or your alarm clock or downloadable ringtone on your Nokia or, all the other cool things that she does, which I don't know what all of those are. Hit Lorenzo up for advice on being human and a consumer.
Yep.
On Facebook at Not the Nerds Podcast. Email both of us on Gmail, notthenerdspodcast@gmail.com, or hit me up on Twitter at Not the Nerds. So there you go.
All right. Until next week. We'll talk to you later.
Adios.